This is Sports Chat with Nat.
Well, welcome back to Sports Chat with Nat. I'm Nat. That's Master T.
Hey, y'all.
We got week 3 recap. Listen, once again, upsets all over the place. No calls, bad calls, all kinds of calls. So let's recap. Both of us were 7 and 9 on our predictions.
Were we really? I don't even remember half of the people I picked.
Well, we picked most of the same people, but you picked the Chargers to beat the Steelers. And there was one more that you picked that I didn't pick.
Wasn't that the Eagles over? I mean, not the Eagles. I said the Ravens.
Cowboys and the Ravens. Cowboys and the Ravens. You won that one. And I won the Steeler one. The rest of them, we were the same. And you were exact on the Ravens points, 28. And you were exact on the Seahawks points. And there was one more, I think I was exact on the Steelers, 21.
Look at me. Look at us getting our points right.
Yeah, and let me see. Wait a minute, it was another one. Oh, I was right with the Jets, 24. Oh, you picked the Patriots to beat the Jets.
I did. I thought they probably would have, but obviously that didn't.
No, you didn't, but that's okay.
It's all right.
I gave you that one anyway, but
then I was not that great this week.
Yeah, but that's okay. But listen, I think the biggest upset was Broncos Buccaneers. That was a big one. I did not see that one coming.
I did not see the Panthers beating the Raiders.
Well, nobody knew Andy Dalton was going to be playing.
Well, at the time of us filming, we didn't know. I think maybe a day later.
We did not.
A day later, we felt like they said it. So that's the only probably difficult part about doing this, literally up until, because literally changes get made literally up until game time. So,
and it was 26 of 37 for 319 yards. Andy Dalton.
Somebody said that they called him. I forgot what they called it him. I'm like to move over a little bit. There we go.
Yeah, he was with the Bengals when they.
I know they were talking about him tonight on when the Bengals were playing.
Yeah, and Dak had 379 yards.
And they still didn't win.
Yeah, listen. Him and CD Lamb was fussing on the sideline. They had a little disagreement. He said, "Get me the ball, the beeping ball." That's what he said.
I think also my other upset, I won't say upset, but kind of disappointing performance that I didn't see coming was the Texans against the Vikings.
Oh, that was listen. CJ was terrible. He was 20 of 31.
Yep.
He had 215 yards, but he had two interceptions, sacked 4 times, quarterback rating of 25, and a passer rating of 68. He got the sophomore slump like, oh my gosh. He got the sophomore slump bad.
I think so. I think after him and Caleb talked to each other, they kind of rubbed off on each other. Even though the Bears still didn't win, Caleb had a little bit better game, and got more points for the Bears.
Know who had Andy Dalton's passer rating was 123, but Lamar was 139, 12 of 15. But Malik Willis was 13 of 19, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 120. Listen, and the other person that caught my eye was Jared Goff, 18 of 21. passer rating 113. He had 199 yards. So
we got a couple more upsets because there was one more that literally just happened.
Wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, the Rams and the 49ers.
That too, but I was gonna say what we just concluded on, which was Monday Night Football of the Commanders beating the Bengals.
Listen.
So there was a lot of this week of what just happened.
Jaden Daniels, let me read it. The number 2 pick, the Heisman Trophy winner, who I just said last week was better than Bryce Young, and they picked Bryce number 1. And okay, all right, moving on. He has, through 3 games, the most rushing yards by rookie in 3 games. And he's on target to have 1,100 yards, which will be the best smash the rookie record of RG3 of 815 yards.
I saw that.
But his passer rate, his completion percentage tonight was 91.
He definitely showed out tonight. I was like, wow. Totally 91. Was not seeing that coming. So,
and the only other quarterback that's got a really Justin Fields at 73, Jaden over all 3 games, 75, Malik Willis 73, O'Connell from the Raiders 70s. Wait a minute, let me say it right. 70 something. 73. Oh, and okay, let me make sure I say it. Josh Allen, 73%.
Josh Allen had a great game tonight.
He really.
We will talk about the Bills game in a second too.
So yeah, I mean, the Steelers are still. Everybody's been 10 points or less. The 3 games. That's the best. That's the best.
I'm happy that y'all actually scored another touchdown.
We undefeated. Okay. Now, Falcons looked good last night. Real good. They asked Raheem Morris, what did he think about that call? He said,
I'm not.
He said, I like my money.
I like my money. I let them do their job. I'll do mine. The refs need to do better. Obviously, you guys, if you hear my voice going in and out, we all know where I was at last night. I was at the Falcons game, screaming my butt off. My voice was definitely worse earlier today. Couldn't talk for real. But yeah, let's talk about what part do we want to talk? Will we start off the good, the bad, and then the ugly, or do we just want to start with the bad, ugly, then good?
Bad, ugly, good.
We're going to start with the bad, good, ugly, and then good?
Okay.
Bad part. Obviously referees, and this is all around NFL that we're going to talk about because there were a couple of ones tonight that I've been seeing, but definitely huge one. 2, there were literally a couple of plays that obviously that would have done it. There was a personal foul that was not called in the end zone against Kyle Pitts on that 4th and 5 pass. There was just another one. There was a couple of ones. I can't even think of the second one off the top of my head, but that one was definitely the number.
That was a big one. Everybody's talking about that one.
That was a big one. But then after I got home and I had to replay of not replay, but actually kind of watch NFL game day final to figure out what everybody else was saying. Because obviously at the game, we only talk to each other. You don't really hear what commentators are saying. So Maurice George-Drew pretty much said the reason why it wasn't called for 2 reasons. He said normally because tight ends are bigger and stuff, they're supposed to be able to technically kind of absorb it and move a little bit more. So that's one reason why they don't usually get called a lot on DB hits. The second one was that Kirk, as he said, if he would have threw it up higher, it probably would have got called. if Kirk would have threw the ball up higher. But that was his thing. But still, it doesn't matter. It still should have been called with that one. I'm happy they called that horse collar one that they should have. But there was also one that there was, I remember. It was a face mask. It was a clear face mask.
Very clear. Very clear.
And they didn't call it. And we were having an uproar. So obviously my voice was screaming more for obviously happy moments and then these crazy moments that we're doing that. Which makes me go, let's like go back and also think in a sense with these review callers in a sense that not even reviews. Like I know that the refs can only throw flags obviously when they're seeing it in game time. But if there is a clear uproar, I feel like there should be some type of rule in the NFL now that because I feel like the refs are making way more mistakes. Like for some reason, they're just getting worse with their things. And I feel like I know they get fined or also at the same time it limits like what they're doing is it also they're kind of interviewing for becoming a Super Bowl ref. So the less calls of like the more game changing calls that also kind of goes into what their profile will be if they want to be a Super Bowl ref. So my thing is also with that, but I think that they may need to start figuring out ways where if there's like they need to challenge calls in the sense of like and these like face masks, personal foul calls, something that we can be able to review it with it because this is getting ridiculous. There's been lots of game changing like game changing things that happen like that determines like game changing like calls or on non-calls that were called that changes the game dynamics of the game. So who knows? Because I mean, in my heart of hearts, we all were like, we should have won and we could have won, especially if that meant even if we could have just recut the field goal and stuff. Now I will go back to that too, because that second fourth, I'm sorry guys, I'm just all man. But that's okay. So the first time we went for that first 4th and 5, and then we end up getting it. All right. And then that was when the foul was called. So then we were like, okay, we did this. And then we did this again. And that's when then that thing with Kyle Pitts happened, right? Instead of redoing that same play again, going to Drake, we should have kicked the field goal. Because we would have cut the field goal, we would have just been down by 3. And defense obviously keeps on doing their job and doing their thing, stopping KC again. And then we would have marched down the field, same thing again. And we would have kicked another field goal and we would have won the game. Because guess what? Right after that, KC got the ball again and we held them at the backfield. And the only reason why the game was over because we didn't have any more timeouts. And the game was like literally 30 seconds left in the game. But if we would have, game would have been totally different. So that was my good, and I guess that would be my bad and ugly all at the same time. My good is just also obviously my Falcons defense of being amazing as usual and stuff. They was getting an interception.
Yeah. Oh, I know I was getting ready to check. Let me see.
And also, my last thing I was going to say about my Falcons and this Chiefs game, and it says, would be that also Game Day Final also said when they were talking about top teams, they literally was like, hey, even though Falcons are 1-2, we are definitely a team. Do not be messing with us because they definitely said if you keep watching us and you keep seeing each week, we keep getting better. Kirk is kind of starting to get into his groove. Moments we'd be like, what in the world? But once we actually do it, I think we're going to be a force to reckon with. And I totally agree with everybody else. Now, Chiefs fans, I know y'all are like, wah. Everybody's whatchamacallit. But at the end of the day, if you have to think about it, if you're not a Chiefs fan and if you take away your Chiefs hat, you probably would feel the same way that everybody's pretty much trying to get y'all to be a 3-peat team. Because all of y'all's games have been super duper close. But as what they also said, which is true, I will say, September is not a great month for Chiefs because they're still trying to figure it out. It's when they start getting into the later months of like late October, November, December that we see like for real Pat and the rest of the Chiefs getting in together. But at the same time, they've been super duper close on every single game. Like,
well, it's not, and the fact that a lot of games have been close, but the blatant no calls, the blatant favoritism shown to the Chiefs is disrespectful to the rest of the league. It's really disrespectful. I just read an article before we logged on, and a lot of people, the comments were that it's rigged, and I've heard for years that it's rigged, but those 3 Chief games really make it look rigged because they definitely did not outplay the Cincinnati Bengals. They did not.
no.
They
Bengals
did not outplay you guys. They did not. They didn't. I mean, they held the ball longer, but they still weren't doing it. They couldn't do anything with it because the defense was on top of them. So, you know, I just knew you guys were gonna win the game. I knew you were gonna pull it out.
We did too. We felt it all in our souls, and then it got pulled.
Because that was a perfect play. The play call was perfect. But I mean, he was clear. And I mean, I hear the thing about the tight ends being bigger. Okay, but all right.
I feel like a personal foul is a personal foul.
It is. It is. It is.
Pass
So
interference is a pass interference, no matter how big or whatever. But
now,
hey, but I would, and honestly, you guys, I know everybody's probably like, oh, she's just saying this because she's a Falcons fan. But remember, my co-host right over here, Miss Natalie, is a Steelers fan, and she's saying this. And I've had other people comment and tell me too. The only people who are probably like, get over yourselves is Chiefs fans, obviously. But hey, it was a good game, and I will commend it because I will say Chiefs fans are actually very, very nice. Like,
oh yeah,
they're very nice. They're very nice and very like commemorable because even throughout the game, like, you know, there were people behind us, and of course they would be like, oh, how about them Chiefs or whatever, but it wasn't like very obnoxious and rude how we will have to see next week.
Well,
but on with the next amazing game that was going on. Which one we're gonna go to next? Are we doing Sunday game?
I thought now we tapped at the Steelers, but I want to say this about